A one night stand with a total stranger has completely changed my life forever. My father was a soldier, so from time to time he got transferred to other places in our country. And anytime that he got transferred, all the family was forced to relocate to his new station with him. This is something that I really hate because just when we are getting used to our new environment and making new friends, then bam, he got transferred to another place yet again and we have to move. My father will always want us to be of good behavior at anywhere we happen to go because he didn't want his hard-earned reputation to be dragged into the drain. So because of that, even at age 21, I was never bold to publicly or properly date any man, even though I have men making advances at me every now and then because I was pretty good looking. Then finally, when I was done with university, I was posted to another state in my country to do my national service, and I was completely happy about this news because it means this is going to be my very first time that I will live alone without my father's strict rules and regulations as a military man's daughter. When I got to this new station, I made quite a number of friends, and for the first time in my 23 years on earth, I felt I'm now experiencing life. Occasionally, some of the new friends that I made at my new station will invite me out for a night out, especially on Fridays to catch some fun. And I was always excited to go out to have some fun since this new life was completely new and so fun to me. But what I didn't know was that my new life was going to change my life forever because of this new excitement that I have discovered. So one fine Friday, I went out again with my friends to this popular pub. But on this particular Friday, I saw a lot of new faces in the pub rather than the regular faces that I know. I later learned that the new faces in the pub were men who have come to the town to escort their friend to bury his dad. So essentially, the men were in town for a funeral ceremony. So as I sat there quiet and slowly sipping on my soft drink, one of those guys that I saw in the pub came to sit by me and we got talking about general issues and not anything significant. As the evening slowly enters into the night, most of my friends that I came to the pub with left for their houses while I was still talking to this new stranger that I met at the pub. When the night totally became silent and most of the people in the pub had left, this man that I had no idea where he came from, what his name was, had his hands all over my body. Oh my God, I was a newbie at the time and I loved his touch on my skin. And before I could say yes or no to his sensational touch on my skin, I was completely taken away by his sweet caresses. And before I could say anything, this man literally had his way with me in the pub. So essentially, I had a one night stand with a total stranger, and after that evening I never saw him again, and with time I completely forgot about him and continued to enjoy my life at my station. After a year, I came back to my parents when I was done with my national service. 2 years after my national service, I met a very handsome young man at church and we started a relationship. He proposed a year after we started the relationship, and then as a result, we started planning for our marriage. Everything was going on pretty well until one day, my fiancé called me, and before we could exchange our sweet pleasantries, he started screaming and shouting, and repeatedly he asked, "How could you stood so low? How could you?" He said with so much anger and fury in his voice. I was completely surprised as to what he was talking about, so I asked him to calm down and explain to me why he was so angry. And by the time that he was done with why he was really angry with me, I wished the earth would just open and swallow me because I knew the shame ahead of me was something that no amount of words could simply describe. Then he started by saying, "Do you know anyone by the name Scorpion?" Hey, Scorpion? Is that not supposed to be a name of a very dangerous animal? I asked myself. I immediately told him no, and at this point, he became even more angry and started shouting even louder and louder. He said, "So you even have the nerve to lie to me that you don't know him?" What exactly was this man talking about? Because at this point, I was obviously confused and didn't know what was going on. Then he sadly ended the call, and within a split second, he sent me a video on WhatsApp. And when I immediately watched the video, I got the shock of my life. In that video was this strange man that I met at the pub and we made out many years ago. Remember, I didn't even know his name, so I didn't even know that his nickname was Scorpion. I later got to know that Scorpion was a very notorious man for sleeping with women at the least opportunity that he got. He would then secretly record the affair and blackmail these women with the video. He usually demands huge sum of money from his victims, and those who refuse to pay this outrageous amount that he requested for are usually disgraced by publishing the videos on the internet or on very large WhatsApp pages. So when my fiancé announced that he was getting married and posted our invitation card on their school WhatsApp group that Scorpion also belonged to, he immediately contacted my fiancé demanding for a huge sum of money, otherwise he was going to publish the video on their school WhatsApp page. My fiancé then begged Scorpion not to publish the video and also begged him to reduce the amount, which he refused. Scorpion demanded for $10,000, but my fiancé pleaded that he could only afford $5,000, which Scorpion later agreed to accept. The money was later sent to Scorpion, but guess what? He shamefully still went ahead to upload the video on my fiancé's school WhatsApp page, and oh, the shame and the pain that came with it was so horrendous that no amount of words could describe it. And when my dad heard about the story, you could just imagine the emotional torture that he experienced. And for a whole year, my dad didn't want to see my face because the news was all over the place and the video was equally all over the place. My fiancé then went ahead to cancel the wedding, and I was also laid off at work because my company said that my negative news would dent their image. I was completely shattered and I went into deep depression for months. Then foolishly, one day in my very low moments, Scorpion had the nerve to call me and to apologize for the pain and the shame that he had caused me. Interestingly, I kept my cool while he spewed his nonsense of an apology to me. I told him I was okay and that the harm had already been caused, so we should just forget about everything. And guess what? This fool had the nerve to ask me to come and visit him in order to prove that I was really not angry with him anymore and I had completely forgiven him. So I went to see him and we really had a very good time together. But of course, that was going to be his very last time that he was ever going to have any nice time with any woman on earth. I made sure that he was completely drunk and I unlived him. I later turned myself to the police, and that was how I ended up being sentenced to 15 years in prison for murder. I got released this year, and since I came out of prison, I realized that so much has changed. My former fiancé married and now he has teenage children. Both my mom and dad have passed on while I was in prison, and I've been trying so hard to get a job, but most companies are not prepared to give an ex-convict like me a job. I feel so sad now, and the realization of how 5 minutes enjoyment completely changed my entire life is something I still regret, and I wish I could turn back the hands of time so that I could make better decisions. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, and share this story with your friends and loved ones. Thank you very much for watching, and thank you so much for supporting this channel. I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.